Hello, welcome back. So we are continuing our discussion about the charges at rest. In the previous class, we have defined Coulomb force. Here we are going to define the unit of charge in terms of Coulomb force. The Coulomb's law states that in a medium, the force F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 epsilon r into q1 q2 by r square. The value of 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 is 9 into 10 raised to 9, and the value of epsilon r will be 1 for a medium like vacuum or air. Now suppose that two charges are placed in vacuum, q1 and q2. The distance of separation between the two charges r is equal to 1 meter. Then what could be the value of this f? You can see that f is equal to the value of 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 is 9 into 10 raised to 9, and this already is 1 because the medium here it is vacuum. So the value of 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 epsilon r will be 9 into 10 raised to 9. And what is remaining? q1 q2 by r square. q1 you take it as 1 coulomb, q2 again you take as 1 coulomb, and r is 1 meter. So the result will be f is equal to 9 into 10 raised to 9 Newton. So if these two charges are positive, there is a repulsive force between these two charges, the magnitude of which is 9 into 10 raised to 9 Newton. And if the first charge is positive and the second charge is negative, then the force is attractive. That means there is a attractive force between the two charges, the magnitude of which is 9 into 10 raised to 9 Newton. So what is 1 coulomb of charge? So 1 coulomb of charge is that charge which when placed at a rest in vacuum at a distance of 1 meter from an equal and similar charge repels it with a force of 9 into 10 raised to 9 Newton. This way we can define 1 coulomb of charge. Another interesting aspect of this equation is the value of epsilon r. So what is epsilon r? Epsilon r means it is the relative permittivity. Epsilon is absolute permittivity. So here epsilon r is equal to epsilon by epsilon 0. And what is epsilon 0? We have already seen that epsilon 0 is equal to 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12. Then what is epsilon? Epsilon is called absolute permittivity or also permittivity of the medium. So when a medium change, the value of epsilon will change because the value of epsilon changes from medium to medium. The value of this relative permittivity will be different for different medium, and therefore the value of force will be different for the same two charges but in different medium. The value of epsilon r, that is the relative permittivity for vacuum, as we have already discussed, is 1. Therefore f is equal to 9 into 10 raised to 9 into q1 q2 by r square. At the same time, for water the value of epsilon r is equal to 80. That means f is equal to 9 into 10 raised to 9 divided by 80 into q1 q2 by r square. In short, the force between two charges placed in water at the same distance as in vacuum will be less by 1/80th. So clearly epsilon r will decide the force between two charges in a medium. That is the importance of this epsilon r. So higher the value of epsilon r or higher the value of relative permittivity, it is also called dielectric constant, then lesser will be the force between two charges. The lesser the value of epsilon r, the higher the force between two charges. So in a medium, the value of f is 1 by 4 by epsilon 0 epsilon r q1 q2 by r square. In vacuum, f we represent force in vacuum. It is 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 epsilon r into q1 q2 by r square. where epsilon r is equal to 1. So Fv is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 q2 by r square. Now if you find the ratio F vacuum divided by F medium, what will be the result? That is force between two charges q1 q2 placed in vacuum divided by force between the same two charges placed at same distance but in a medium. What will be the result? You can see that Fv divided by F medium will be epsilon r, that is the relative permittivity. You may try this numerically. You can see that Fv by Fm, that is force between two charges in vacuum, to the force, the ratio of force between two charges in vacuum to the force between same two charges at the same distance in a medium is relative permittivity. This is another way of defining relative permittivity. Now we may make a small comparative study between this electrostatic force and gravitational force. You can see that there are some properties which are identical. There are some properties which are non-identical. The first identical one, they are both central forces. That means they are acting along the line joining the center of the two bodies or center of the two charged bodies. Then both obey inverse square law, just like gravitation. You know, in the last year you have seen gravitational force m1 m2 by r square. Both are conservative forces. That means work done by them is independent of the path followed. Then both forces are effective even in free space. Then we will discuss some non-identical properties. One is gravitational force is always attractive, but electrostatic force could be attractive or repulsive. Between two positive charges it will be repulsive, between two negative charges again it will be repulsive, but between positive and negative charges it is attractive. Then the gravitational constant does not depend on the medium, but the electrostatic force constant depends on the medium, that we have just seen in the discussion of epsilon r. Then electrostatic force are extremely large compared to gravitational forces. So can you give an example for this property? We have seen that the static charge can attract a piece of paper, and a static charge of a plastic comb which is attracting the piece of paper is actually doing a work against gravitational force, or the electrostatic force between the comb and the piece of paper is more than the gravitational force on this piece of paper. So far we have discussed a case where there are only two charges, but suppose there are more charges, then what will happen? There are three charges in vacuum. So q1, q2, q3 are three charges which are at a different distances from a sample charge, say q. So q1 is at a distance r1 from the charge q, q2 is at a distance r2 from the charge q, q3 is at a distance r3 from the charge q. Here r1, r2 and r3 represent the position vectors of q1, q2 and q3 respectively. So there will be a force acting on the q due to q1, there is a force acting on the charge q due to q2, then there is a force acting on the charge q due to q3. So this force could be attractive or repulsive depending on the nature of q1 or q2 and q3. Then what is the force acting on the charge q due to q1? This is given by equation 1. I mean the first equation f1. f1 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 divided by r1 square into unit vector r1. Sorry, this r1 is not much clear here. Then what is the force on q due to q2? It is f2, which is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q2 divided by r2 square into r2 unit vector or R2 cap. Similarly, F3 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 Q3 R3 square into R3 cap. So here all these forces are vectors. Therefore, on the RHS you are multiplying this equation with a unit vector to make this RHS a vector. Then what is the net force acting on the charge Q? You can see that it is vector F1 plus vector F2 plus vector F3. So this is not a simple algebraic addition, but it is a vector addition. Now suppose there are n charges. Instead of 3 charges, suppose there are infinite number of charges. Then how this equation will become? Then this equation will become F1 plus F2 plus F3 plus F4 plus F5 etc. Fn. So F is equal to vector F is equal to vector F1 plus vector F2 plus vector F3 etc. up to vector Fn. So this is the net force on the charge Q, and this is the vector sum. And this is called the principle of superposition. That is, the net force on the charge Q will be the vector sum of the forces due to individual charges. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഓരോ ചാർജും ഈ ക്യൂ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സാമ്പിൾ ചാർജിൻ്റെ മുകളിൽ നടത്തുന്ന ഫോഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ബാക്കിയുള്ള ഫോഴ്സിനെ ഒട്ടും തന്നെ ആശ്രയിക്കുന്നില്ല. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ Q1 ഉം Q തമ്മിലുള്ള ഫോഴ്സിനെ Q2 Q3 മറ്റേതെങ്കിലും ചാർജുകളോ സ്വാധീനിക്കുകയില്ല. അതുപോലെ Q2ൻ്റെയും Qൻ്റെയും ഇടയ്ക്കുള്ള ഫോഴ്സിനെ Q1ൻ്റെയോ Q3യുടെയോ വേറെ ഏതിൻ്റെയെങ്കിലും ചാർജിൻ്റെ പ്രസൻസോ ആബ്സെൻസോ സ്വാധീനിക്കുകയില്ല. അതാണ് സൂപ്പർ പൊസിഷൻ പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾ. Now suppose there are only 2 charges. Then this equation F1 plus F2 plus F3 plus etc. Fn will become like F is equal to F1 plus F2. And this you know, the resultant force between two vectors will be root of F1 square plus F2 square plus 2 F1 F2 cos theta. So this is the superposition principle. Now we may define the superposition principle. So superposition principle states that when a number of charges are interacting, the total force on a given charge is the vector sum of the forces exerted on it due to all other charges. That is the definition of superposition principle. So now it is clear that around one charge there will be some kind of force experienced by some other charge. So if there is a positive charge somewhere in space and there is another charge, say a negative charge is coming close to this positive charge, so at some point onwards this negative charge will experience the attractive force of this positive charge, and also vice versa. That is, the positive charge will experience a force of the negative charge also. That means there will be some region around a charge in which another charge will experience a force. This region around a charge in which another charge experiences a force is called electric field. Now a charge will experience a different amount of forces when it is taken to different types of charges. So you consider a charge Q, and from the charge Q there is another charge Q1, and Q1 is at a distance of R1 from the charge Q. Now there is another charge which is Q prime, and from the charge Q prime the same charge Q1 is placed at the same distance R1. So now Q1 will experience a force due to Q prime, and Q1 will experience a force due to Q also. Then the force due to Q and Q prime will be same. That is, the force due to Q on Q1 and the force on Q1 due to Q prime, will they be same? It all depends on the value of Q and Q prime. So we want some standard to measure the force due to both Q and Q prime. Force due to Q on Q1 and force on Q1 due to Q prime, they will be different. Now you bring a unit positive charge. Sorry, the letters are very small. Now you bring a unit positive charge close to Q and Q1 at a distance R1. Why you are bringing a unit positive charge? Because a unit positive charge means the magnitude of this force is 1 coulomb. So it is not any arbitrary charge. The value of this unit positive charge is 1 coulomb, that is the magnitude of this unit positive charge, and the sign is positive. So by measuring the force experienced on this unit positive charge due to Q and Q prime at a distance R1, we can find which force is larger, or we can find the intensity of electric field due to Q and Q1, Q and Q prime. This force experienced by this unit positive charge is called intensity of electric field. So electric field is the space around a charge in which another charge will experience an electrostatic force of attraction or repulsion. So electric field is the space around a charge in which another charge will experience some kind of electrostatic force. Now intensity of electric field at a point is the force experienced by a unit positive charge when placed at that point. ഒരു പ്രത്യേക ബിന്ദുവിലെ ഇലക്ട്രിക് ഫീൽഡിൻ്റെ ഇൻറ്റൻസിറ്റി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ആ ഒരു പ്രത്യേക ബിന്ദുവിൽ ഒരു യൂണിറ്റ് പോസിറ്റീവ് ചാർജ് വെക്കുമ്പോൾ ആ ചാർജിന് അനുഭവപ്പെടുന്ന ഫോഴ്സാണ്. ദ സിംബൽ ഓഫ് ഇൻറ്റൻസിറ്റി ഓഫ് ഇലക്ട്രിക് ഫീൽഡ് ഈസ് capital E. Therefore E is equal to F by Q from the definition of intensity of electric field. So intensity of electric field is the electrostatic force experienced between two charges per unit positive charge, and this intensity of electric field is a vector. Therefore vector E is equal to vector F by Q. So this is the end of this class. Thank you for watching.